If you're in San Francisco in June, it is hard to miss, impossible to ignore, one of the great parades on planet Earth and the second biggest in California, SF Pride. Tonight, we're speaking with its new CEO, Earle Plante. Earle, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I've been in San Francisco 27 years, and except for 1998, I have been in, marched with, or taken part in every San Francisco Pride parade. What is new and different about this one, and how did you come to be its leader?
Well, it came on board in late December, so it's been kind of a whirlwind, very exciting time. Lots of great things to report with San Francisco Pride. We're on track and on schedule for an amazing Pride. This year in particular, we want to highlight the fact that, with marriage equality, the Supreme Court making a decision on marriage equality, we're very excited about that potential, and we're preparing for that big time.
Great. Now, how did you come to be here? Because now you were in San Francisco, then you left, and we got you back.
Well, it's all about timing, and to me, from my perspective, it's a dream job because it brings together all aspects of what I've done in terms of community organizing, communications, development, and leadership of San Francisco Pride, which is a global thought leader in terms of the global Pride movement. It's just a thrill to be here on board.
Right. You've been here now in just a few months, back from, when were you here in San Francisco before?
I was here in 2009 and 10, working for Congresswoman Barbara Lee, heading up her leadership PAC.
Got it. Now, how have things changed in the 4 years since you were away? I mean, back then, gay marriage was like we were talking about it, but we just lost this huge case, and now suddenly there seems to be a whole new spirit.
Yeah, I think it's just very energizing on so many levels. I think the ground has really shifted just in a relatively short amount of time. I think changing hearts and minds, and just having people come out in their personal consciousness.
Purple too, yeah.
Personal consciousness, I think, has had a huge impact on people's, you see the polls, both Republicans and Democrats, and youth in particular, it's a non-issue. So right. I think, we really have and I think media has helped in terms of, seeing that, LGBT folks are not the boogeymen that we had been put out there for years. I think that's had a huge impact in terms of people's perspective, and it's a much more difficult to hate someone in an abstract versus someone that you know and love.
That's right. I remember the first Pride parade that I saw in San Francisco, and during the late 80s, early 90s, it seemed to be a very sad parade. There was a lot of anger. It was about AIDS and HIV awareness. All the other issues that are still part of our communities were there. But the tone has changed over the years, and it became celebratory and then angry again. And this year, I think whatever happens, it's going to be celebratory. But something that I have really seen change is the acceptance, even the celebration of Pride as a quote-unquote mainstream event. I mean, when I came here, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, now known as SF Travel, they knew the parade was going on, but they weren't selling it to the international tour operators. Now this parade is recognized as a big economic boom to the city. Talk about that.
Certainly. We're very excited to report the fact that we're an economic driver to the city. We're already the largest event in San Francisco, but also within the global Pride movement, we're the second largest Pride outside of Sydney in the world. So that's something we're very proud about, and we want to celebrate and embrace. The other piece in terms of San Francisco being unique in that our straight allies really have supported this parade and celebration. In particular, in the last 5 to 6 years, we've done some surveys and focus groups, and about 40% of the folks who attend our Pride and celebration are straight allies. So that's something that it just shows like how we're embraced and enveloped by the community, and we're very proud of that.
Right. Now, there are a lot of people who take part in putting Pride together. You're not just a one-man band.
Thousands of people coming together and just in beautiful harmony.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what does it take to put on the parade every year?
It's massive. That's the thing that I've been most amazed by in terms of my tenure in the 3.5 months I've been on board. It's just on so many different levels in terms of community stakeholders, constituents, in terms of the politicians, funders. It's just a massive organizational challenge. But this is not my first time at the rodeo, so so we're moving forward, and we're going to have an amazing Pride.
Right. Talk to us a little bit about some of the community supporters. You've got a board of directors that hired you
Yes.
and is out there raising money. Who are some of the people whose names our watchers may be familiar with?
Our board president is Lisa Williams, who's been very involved in political campaigning here in the Bay Area and beyond. Lou Fisher, David Curry, Davis Chin. We've also have brought on some new board members in the last few months. Presently, we're at 10. So our bylaws say we can go up to 15. So we're continuing to reach out and want to bring people to the table who have expertise, skill sets that can augment and really obviously bring a diverse range of perspectives.
So someone might be watching this now and saying, wow, that's the thing I need to give my time and my money and my energy to.
Of course, we're open for business.
So
always.
they just call.
Yes, call me. We're on the website. Yes.
Yeah, call me maybe. Right,
yes,
right,
exactly.
right. The other thing, in addition to being acknowledged as an economic driver for the city of San Francisco, on the other side of the economic equation is there are now corporate sponsors for Pride, and that certainly wasn't something that happened in the 80s. What are some of the companies that have come to the fore and said, yeah, we want to support you?
Well, very proud of the fact that we have been embraced by the corporate community on many levels. That's a good Budweiser, Diageo, Virgin American, JDV, Comcast. We were being here in Comcast studios. Very excited to report that. Clear Channel,
Right.
Coffee locally.
Right.
So it's a pretty broad cross section of folks. One thing I wanted to mention is that folks give cash, but they also give in-kind contributions, which are essential for us in terms of our bottom line. We wouldn't be able to do Pride without that.
Right.
So so it's a pretty broad cross section of different things that are brought to the table.
Right. Changing subjects just a little bit, on a personal level, what does it mean to you as a gay man to be here, not only part of Pride, but leading it? Is that something that ever struck you when you were a kid that you'd be doing this?
No, it's just I'm constantly amazed in terms of how life circumstance, one door opens, another closes. It's all about timing, and I think that I think everything that I've done in my life has really positioned me well in terms of this this challenge. It's something that I've fully embraced, and I'm loving it so far. So.
Right. What's been the biggest challenge you've met so far, and then also conversely, the greatest joy in your brief tenure?
I think just it's hard to say kind of in the big picture, because ever since I've started, it's been all enveloping. I'm averaging 14, 16-hour days. It's a massive challenge. So I think the biggest challenge in that sense is really keeping eyes on the prize and making sure that there's a lot of different balls up in the air and making sure that we're focused and where we need to be. The best thing that I think in terms of my tenure so far is just the people, the energy, for on all levels in terms of and really seeing kind of how San Francisco Pride has touched them in their personal lives, and hearing their personal stories has really been, for me, kind of energizing on many levels.
Yeah.
So I look forward to this Pride cycle. This is the first time I've actually been behind the scenes. I've been to many Pride celebrations around the world, so I'm excited to kind of see that kind of behind the scenes as well.
In our last few moments, let's talk about when it is and where it is, because it used to be a parade, but now it's a whole focus of a lot of festivities.
Yes, well, Pride Month is in June, but there's a lot of informal and formal events that we sponsor. But Pride Week is really kind of our wheelhouse, and June 29th and 30th, that weekend, is where the bulk of our activities take place.
So San Francisco will be all purple.
Yes.
In the month of June.
Yes, and we're working on trying to get the airport to show our colors there too.
I think we got some leverage there. We'll work on that.
Great. Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Earle.
Thank you,
We've
David.
been speaking with Earle Plante, new CEO of SF Pride, the second biggest parade in California. We'll see if we can make it the biggest sometime. Thank you for watching 10%. After the break, we'll be back with more news that's important to you and your community. Thanks so much.